Hello, beautiful humans. Aloha, and welcome to another episode of Touchful podcast. 11 weeks. It's been 11 weeks since I started season 2. And if you listened to the first episode of season 2, then you know that I made a promise to myself that I would publish one episode every Monday, no matter what. And I did, and it worked. And I did it for a couple of reasons. This promise that I gave to myself, I did it for a couple of reasons. Number one was that I wanted to practice keeping promise to myself. This is something that I haven't been very good at. I promise something to myself and then I don't do it. And each time it happens, I really feel that it doesn't serve my feeling of self-worth. And on the other hand, each time I promise that I will do something and I really do it, I feel very empowered. So I took that opportunity with something that I love doing with a podcast, but something that I haven't been very consistent with, to practice keeping a promise to myself. And sometimes it was really crazy for these last 11 weeks because I never pre-record these episodes very much, much earlier. I usually do them 2 or 3 days before publishing. Sometimes I was even recording them a night before publishing. And I had all kinds of personal commitment during these 11 weeks, including Lomi training that I had, including my friend visiting, my sister visiting, me working, all kinds of things. And it felt so good to be committed to that and to really keep that promise. And the reason number two, why I wanted to do that, to have this consistency of 11 episodes for 11 weeks, was that I decided to take podcasting as my spiritual practice, as my way of practicing to connecting to myself, connecting to my voice, connecting to my truth, connecting to the way I understand the world and getting to know myself better through podcasting as a spiritual practice. And it happened. I sometimes was genuinely surprised by myself when I was sitting to record a podcast about some topic that I was particularly touched by. And I was really surprised sometimes by the words that were coming out of my mouth. And I was like, whoa, I really feel that I got to know myself better. So today is a bonus episode. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this idea of a bonus episode in a moment, but first of all, I want to thank you so much. Really, I'm holding my hand on a heart right now. I want to thank you from the depth of my heart for being a part of this journey, for listening to my podcast, or maybe this is even your first episode, then welcome. You already are a part of this journey and of a very, very small, but at the same time, very sweet and kind and loving community. I want to thank you all for sweet notes that you send me and messages on Instagram or on Facebook about some particular moments in the podcast and some sentences that touched you. That really is so sweet, and I feel that it opens up my ability to receive more life. So thank you for you, and thank you for being a part of this sweet journey. And season 2 is ending, but I decided quite spontaneously that I don't want to just end it like this, like cutting it with a knife, but I want to do one extra episode, and I wanted it to be a Q&A. I wanted to talk about something that you wanted me to talk about. I thought that it would be extremely interesting, and also my way of sharing my deepest gratitude for you. I thought that it would be a way to connect with you even deeper and to take my podcasting practice into the next level. So both in the newsletter and on my Instagram, I asked you if you have some questions, something that you would like me to talk about. And I got 3 beautiful responses. So I have 3 questions today that I would like to talk about. And 2 of them are kind of like life related. So they are more about life and love and relationships. And one of them is Lomi Lomi related. So it's related to my practice and teaching of Hawaiian healing called Lomi Lomi. So I will first address these two questions, which are about life and relationships, and then I will move to the Lomi question. The first question that I got is an anonymous question. You had the chance, those of you who are subscribed to my newsletter, you had a chance to ask the question anonymously, and this is such a question. It is also written in Polish, so I'm going to try to do my best to translate it to English to be able to answer it. And the question is, how did you come out from this state of feeling unloved and unlovable, and from your darker times? What did you start, or how should I start when I feel lost? Warm greetings. Dear person, because I don't even know if it's a man or a woman, thank you so much for bringing this topic, and all my love and warm greetings to you as well. So I'm going to tell you how I started and what I'm still doing, because it is still a journey. It is not that a journey of self-love and a journey of building a relationship with self is never complete. Just like you are in a relationship with somebody, it's not that when one day you wake up and you feel, oh, I have just loved this person fully. There's nothing more. I have just loved them fully. You deepen the love every day for this person that you are with, if you are blessed to be in such a relationship. And I feel that it's the same with the relationship with the self. So I'm going to tell you how I started. My first suggestion is, if you feel that you don't love yourself, if you feel that you are unlovable, then don't try to love yourself. Don't try to love yourself. Instead, try to get to know yourself better, so you can gradually fall in love with yourself. Again, think about it. When you meet somebody, it's not that you immediately love them. Yes, sometimes we have this thing that is called love at the first sight, which is more of a feeling of infatuation or a strong intuition that this person might be good for me and I want to explore the relationship with that person more. This is what we call love at first sight. But when we are talking about deep love, deep connection, it's not something that happens in first 5 minutes after you meet somebody. It's also not something that happens overnight or in first week or in first month. Sometimes it's something that takes months or years. And like I said, it is something that can be deepened throughout the whole time of your relationship with that person. And the reason I'm talking about it so much is because building love for yourself is exactly the same process. At least that was my thinking, that was my reasoning, that was my understanding of it. Instead of trying to love myself or desperately repeating that I love myself and that was not true, I decided to get to know myself. Because I had no idea if I was even an interesting person, if I even wanted to love myself, if I was worthy of my own attention and interest. So what I started to do is I started to get to know myself through as simple things as sitting with myself. I was calling it sitting with my human. And getting to know myself. And that was the time, and that was last year. The culmination of that process was last year in around April or May, I think. And that was the moment when I realized that I actually don't even know myself that well. So how on earth am I supposed to love myself if I don't even know myself? You would consider me delusional if I told you to fall in love with a random stranger that you see for the first time and you have no idea who they are. And it's the same with yourself. So I would say start by getting to know yourself. Take yourself on a date. Take yourself to to a restaurant, take yourself for a walk. And by yourself, I mean yourself, without a phone, without listening to a podcast. Just like when you go on a date with somebody, you are not on a phone. When you go on a date with somebody or for a walk, you are not listening to a podcast at the same time. You are utterly focused on this person because you want to get to know them better. So maybe you ask them questions because you want to get to know them better. And then by what they share and how they share it, you become more curious about that person, and that's how the conversation flows. So it's exactly the same with yourself. I started journaling a lot around that time when I was experimenting with that idea of getting to know myself better. I would journal, I would ask myself questions, and I would write down the answers in the journal, and I would do it relentlessly every morning. I remember that it was the time in Iceland where it was already starting to be a little bit warmer. So what I would do is I would wake up extra early every day. I would make myself a cup of cacao or a cup of tea. I would wrap myself in a blanket and I would sit outside on the porch and I would be just sitting with myself. Some people might call it meditation, but I was not even calling it like that. I was sitting with myself. I was journaling sometimes. Sometimes I was talking to myself. But I wanted to get to know that person because I just realized that I had no idea who that person was. And then gradually, I started to like myself first. I realized that I am actually quite interesting. I enjoy my own company. And before that, before doing all that, I kind of felt forced into my own company. I always felt like I always liked being alone. But before that, I would usually try to fill up the time when I was alone. So I would watch a lot of movies, or I would work a lot, do a lot of office work, do a lot of computer work, sometimes late in the night, instead of just taking myself on a date, talking to myself, getting to know myself better. And then I remember one night, I woke up in the middle of the night with this aha moment. It was literally middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m. or something. With this aha moment that me being alone, I was not in a relationship at that time and I was living on my own, that me being alone is the greatest blessing because I have all the time that I want to really get to know myself, to build the most beautiful and strong connection with myself, and that I'm going to do everything that it takes. And here's my other recommendation or piece of advice, if you want to call it like this. Make a decision. Make a decision that this is your life and it is your priority to build the most beautiful, fulfilling, nourishing relationship with yourself. Because you are the only person that is going to be with you till your last breath. People come and go, always. Always, this is truth about people. They come and go. But you gonna be with yourself always. So I think it's insane not to prioritize yourself, not to prioritize your relationship with yourself. Because if you are unhappy with yourself, or if you don't know yourself, or if you know yourself and you don't like yourself, then you are going to be unhappy always, no matter what happens, no matter what kind of people you have around you, no matter in what relationship you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter what kind of job you have or where you live. If you don't like yourself, you're going to be unhappy. And I learned it really the hard way the first time I went to Hawaii in 2018, when I was in literal paradise and I was crying my eyes out because I felt miserable and I really didn't like myself at that time. So make this your priority. Make a decision about getting to know yourself and that you will do whatever it takes, because this is your life. There is nothing more precious, there is nothing more priceless in this world than you and your life. And your life is first and foremost about your relationship with yourself. And from that place, it will completely change how you relate to other people. When you change the way you relate to yourself, it will change the way you relate to people. And once you make that decision that you're gonna do anything and everything it takes, then my experience is that everything works. Like the things that I told you to try, to get to know yourself better, to sit with yourself, to journal, everything works. You can find a ton of advice on the internet on how to create a beautiful relationship with yourself. And I have a feeling that everything that people say works. It works if you stick to it and if you practice it. So some people say to look yourself like deeply in the eyes in a mirror and just give yourself 5 minutes of that. It will work. If you do it every day for 3 months, it will work. It will change something in you. If you do it once for 5 minutes and you decide that it's stupid and it's not working, it will not work. You can think about it like, it's such a cliche example, but it's really a good one. That's why everybody's giving this example. It's just like going to the gym. If you go to the gym regularly, or if you exercise regularly, after 3 months, you will be a different person. You will see a difference. There is no way in the whole world that you will not feel a difference in how you feel, and also maybe see a difference in how you look if you commit to exercising regularly. But if you just go to the gym once and you decide that it's stupid and you don't like it because you are sweating and you are not very good at lifting or whatever, then it's not going to work. And it's the same with everything that you do in life, including building a relationship with yourself. So, how about you decide that next 3 months you will be your own priority? Getting to know yourself will be your priority. And building such a strong relationship with yourself that you will feel like you are falling in love with yourself, that this will be your priority. But don't give it a week, give it 3 months. And do whatever it takes. And show up for yourself. Because this is your life. And yes, there might be days when you feel like a little less, or you feel a lot down. It's also fine. It's gonna be like this as well. I have these days all the time that I feel that, oh my god, I was supposed to love myself, and now I find some part of me that is like, oh, not this again. But instead of deciding that this whole self-love thing doesn't work, I decide to take it as a chance, as an invitation to love myself deeper. Another thing that I would love to recommend for you, and for everybody, of course, who feels that this topic is relevant for you, is to really pay close attention to your inner dialogue, how you talk about yourself. This is also something that I discovered the moment I started sitting with myself. So this practice that I told you that I had, every morning I would make myself a cup of cacao or a cup of tea, and I would sit with myself, or I would sometimes journal. One of the first things that I discovered was that my inner dialogue, so things that I was talking to myself, about myself, that it was so cruel, that it was so painful, that I would call myself stupid, or I would call myself worthless. And again, imagine that you are with somebody and that person calls you stupid and worthless. Would you like to be with that person? Would you even bother to take care of a relationship with that person? So one of the decisions that I made was that I radically cut off all the negative things that I talk about, that I say to myself about myself, even if it's just a joke. So no joking that, oh, I'm so silly, I forgot, I'm so stupid, I'm sorry. Not even as a joke. I decided that my words that I talk to myself about myself, that these are sacred words, and that I'm only going to speak words that feel like nourishing words. Only the words that I would say to my best friend, that I would say to my beloved, that I would say to somebody who is the most important person to me in the whole universe. I'm only going to use such words about myself. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to lie to yourself about yourself. If you feel that you don't love yourself at this very moment, you don't need to keep lying to yourself and telling yourself that you love yourself. It's not that kind of a game. Though for some people, this game of fake it till you make it, it definitely works for some people, absolutely. But I want you to pay attention to your inner dialogue and just cut out all the words that are cruel, that are diminishing, that are so harsh, that are criticizing. If you wouldn't say these words to your best friend who is currently feeling down, then you shouldn't be telling yourself these words either. And I'm gonna stop here with that question. I'm very happy that you asked it, so thank you very much, and I hope that some of the things that I shared will be helpful. And if you want to reach out to me after listening to this episode, then please do. You can use the same. I'm particularly talking to this one person now who sent this question. You can use the same form that was in the newsletter. You can use it to drop me an anonymous answer or like an anonymous follow-up if you want to. I would love to hear how you are doing. And I love you. I love you. And I wish you all the best. And I'm really happy that you are here. And I'm gonna move on to the next question. Maybe this is not a question, rather contemplating on a situation. This is what this person writes. This is also an anonymous message. Maybe this is not a question, rather contemplating on a situation. If you are in a relationship where you accept unconditional love, relationship you neither want to lose nor change, but has little to do with the concept love in air quote, in quotation marks, can you in another layer of life love someone else with your heart so much that you burst into tears every time you go there? I mean, not physically but mentally. How is it possible to deal with this conflict? Is it fair or is it fraud? With lot of love, G. Dear G. Again, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but dear G. Thank you so much for this message, and it really is a contemplation. And I've been contemplating on that for quite some time from the moment I received your message. Because I feel that you are touching so many different things, beautiful things in that short message of yours. And I maybe will start with kind of like paraphrasing what I read, just to make sure, or just to show you how I understood it, because I'm not sure if I am understanding it in a correct way. I'm not sure if I'm understanding it in a way that you mean. So I will start by explaining to you how I understand it, okay? So I assume that we are talking about a romantic relationship. So it's not a friendship or a business relationship, but a romantic relationship. And if I understand correctly, then you are in a relationship and you don't want to lose it, you don't want to change it, but at the same time or simultaneously, you feel that there is someone else in your heart that you love so much that you feel like bursting into tears every time you go there. That's how I understand it. I hope that this is what you meant, but if this is not what you meant, then again, I would love you to contact me and kind of like clarify on this. But for the sake of recording this episode, I'm going to try to share some of my contemplation around what you just shared. So a situation where there is a relationship and there is love, and there is a relationship that I care about and I don't want to lose it, I don't want to change it, but there is love. First of all, I feel like lots of this like push-pull right now, because I feel that this is such a delicate topic. And I'm also thinking like, okay, Magdalena, like try to put it in the best words. And yeah, so I will try to put it in best words. So first of all, you are saying, how is it possible to deal with this conflict? Is it fair or is it fraud? One of the first things that I wrote down when I was taking notes and I read your message, one of the first things that I wrote down was that I literally wrote, not a conflict. What about if this is not a conflict? Or if you stop looking at it as a conflict? Because if I understand correctly, you are in a relationship, you want to stay in a relationship, so you care about this relationship. And there might be somebody else where there is also love. And to me, there is no conflict, because in my world, in the way I understand love and relationships, and also kind of like a side note for everybody who is listening to that, my understanding of love and relationships might be completely different from yours. So whatever I'm sharing right now, you might completely disagree with. My understanding of love and relationship, I feel, is also quite unique. So what I'm trying to share here is that love doesn't equal relationship. Loving somebody doesn't mean being in a relationship with that person. A relationship is a one thing. It is a certain entity, almost an entity, a thing that we create, and then we take care of that. And I'm going to talk about it more in a moment. And love is love. Again, the most cliche thing to say, but that is so true. Love is love. And loving somebody, very often we kind of like make that assumption that it equals that I want to be in a relationship with that person, or that I should be in a relationship with that person. And one of the biggest aha moments of my life when it comes to relationships and love is when I understood that I am love. I am a lover. Me, Magdalena, personally, that's how I see myself. In a sense that I even can't believe that I'm saying it online. But okay, let's go there. I see myself as a lover in a sense that I love. I love to love. And I need to love in order to be able to function, in order to be able to do my job. I need to love my job in order to be able to do it and to flourish. And I love people, and I love my friends, and I love my companion, and I love all kinds of people in my life. Love itself, I find it the most beautiful and nourishing feeling that there is. When it is detached from a relationship. So in my world, and again, your understanding of love and relationship might be completely different. In my world, it is okay to love. That love is beautiful, and it is okay to love, because it doesn't equal the relationship. And now I want to talk about the relationship more, because you said that this is a relationship you neither want to lose nor change. But at the same time, I'm not sure if something is not working in that relationship. Anyhow, what I'm trying to say is that a relationship, I have this joke with my companion that a relationship is not something that you just find lying on a street. You are just walking one sunny day and it's like, oh, a relationship, I'm just gonna pick it up and now it's mine. A relationship is something that doesn't exist until you put it into existence with the help of another person. And it's like this with every relationship. For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to talk about romantic relationship. So a relationship doesn't exist until you make it into existence. And there might be love, but sometimes it is not enough to have a relationship. There might be love, and I might decide that I don't want relationship with that person for various reasons, or that this person doesn't want relationship with me. But if there is love and there is mutual agreement or want from two people to build a relationship, that's even in this expression, to build a relationship, then building a relationship starts. And it's a process, and it's a process that never ends. So it's not, again, that one day you wake up, you look at your relationship and you're like, I'm done here. It's complete. It's a full-grown relationship. It never works like this. And I think that many people make that mistake. At least I made that mistake in many of my relationships. When I was nourishing it very much at the beginning, and then when I had a feeling that this relationship is secure, or that I felt secure in that relationship, I wouldn't nourish it that much. And that would be the moment when the relationship would start to disappear. Because as love might be universal, love might be unconditional, love might be above all and beyond all, and just this beautiful expanding feeling, a relationship is a choice. Being in a relationship is a choice. And it is not a choice that you just make once. It is a choice that you make over and over again. It is a choice that you make every day. That I care about this relationship. I want to be in this relationship. I want to nourish this relationship. And the reason I'm sharing this with you, G, and with everybody who maybe relates to this topic, is that I would ask myself really deeply, I would ask my heart, my dear heart, what do you want? Do you want to be in this relationship? And if you do, then make a choice that you're gonna nourish this relationship, that you're going to choose this person and choose the version of you who is in the relationship, that you are going to choose it over and over again. And it's a never-ending process. And some relationships end not because there is lack of love. When I think about my last 2 relationships that ended, it was not that because there was lack of love. I am in amazing friendships with both of my ex-partners, and I absolutely love them as humans. And it's not that the relationships ended because there was no love. The relationship ended because there was no choosing anymore. At some point, the relationship ends when 2 people stop to choose each other, or one person chooses and chooses and chooses and the other person doesn't, and then it's also not gonna work, because a relationship, it's not something that can be built by one person. So yeah, these are my thoughts on that, and I don't know if they are any helpful. I hope that they are, and that I brought something into contemplating that situation of yours. And I have one more question that I would love to answer, and this is a question about Lomi. And this was a question asked on Instagram. A beautiful question. I love it. How to prepare yourself for a Lomi training, or do you just jump into the deep pool? I love this question as a Lomi teacher, and also as a Lomi student, somebody who still studies this practice. I love this question. So I'm going to answer and share how I prepare for my trainings. So when I go for a Lomi training as a student, how I prepare. And I am absolutely sure that this is not just about Lomi, that this is about learning anything new, or in general about the process of learning. Because when I go for a training, I've been to so many, with so many different teachers all over the world, but I apply this process, or these couple of things that I'm going to share with you, I apply it to each and every training that I go to. And whatever I'm sharing right now, I think it might be I hope it will be a beautiful guidance or a piece of advice for all of you who are thinking about learning Lomi, or about learning anything in general. So my number one suggestion is make a decision that it will be the best training. Make a decision that this will be the best training that will change your life. And what we sometimes as humans have a tendency to do is that some people, I'm not gonna maybe generalize that, some people have this process of thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna see if it's for me or not. Maybe it will be good, maybe I will learn something, maybe it will be interesting, or maybe not so much. I'm gonna try and see. And my suggestion is, and my experience is, that this is a dead end. That sometimes you might get lucky and it will be nice, and sometimes you might get not so lucky and it will not be so nice. Instead, and it works every time for me. So even if you feel that it sounds stupid or kind of like really, really weird, or what the hell is she talking about, really try it. Try it with anything, with any course, training, workshop, webinar, whatever that you are taking part in. Before it even starts, make a decision for yourself that this will be time that will change your life. That this will be the best spent money in your life. That this training, webinar, course, journey, conversation, whatever, it doesn't even need to be about a learning context, that this will be the best thing in the world, and it will change your life. It will be transformational. It will be worth every penny that you invested into it, and it will be the best. Try that and see how differently you are going to show up for that training, for that webinar, for that course, for that masterclass, for that conversation, for that massage session, coming from the place of, I have decided that it will be the best. I remember that I did that with my Lomi birthday. I was talking to you about it a couple of episodes back. I just made a decision that this will be the best birthday party ever. And it was, because I decided so, and I felt that it really was. So that is number one thing. And it definitely works. It's going to work miracles when it comes to a Lomi training, especially if this is your first training and you feel that you are starting a new path. Then just decide that this will be the most beautiful start of a most beautiful path of your life, and that you would remember that training as a day or a week that changed everything. Number two thing that I love practicing in such situations is to assume that there are things that I don't know, that there are things that I have no idea about. Even such a smart ass as me, or especially for such smart asses like myself. And especially if I go to a Lomi training, I allow myself to go as a completely blank page. I just assume that I can always learn something new, that there are things that I have no idea about, that this person might carry the knowledge that I don't even know exists. And coming to the training with this beautiful energy of a student that wants to learn something is going to change everything for you. Again, it doesn't matter what the training is about, or it doesn't even need to be a context of a training. Coming from a place of humbleness, in a way, from a place of, I assume that there might be something for me that I don't even know exists, that this training will tick the boxes that I didn't even know existed, that this journey will bring me the memories that I didn't even know I could have such experiences. And then you will get surprised, because the universe, at least according to my belief and according to my experience, the universe will deliver, and you will be taken into the places inside you, especially on a Lomi training, in the way I teach it, for example. You will be definitely taken into places inside you that you had no idea existed. And that is my number 3 suggestion. When this happens, on a Lomi training, it will happen inevitably. On many of these deep personal journeys, workshops, trainings, it will happen inevitably, that you will be invited into places inside you that you had no idea that they existed. I would say go there. Go into the unknown. Allow yourself to be surprised and go into the unknown. And sometimes it means, often, usually, at least in my case, on all my Lomi trainings, oh my God, they were meetings with my darkest parts, with my triggers. Every Lomi training that I took was such a trigger festival for me. I was constantly triggered by things, and I was constantly meeting myself in my unworthiness and feeling that I'm not good enough and this and that. And that is only because you are going to be met in the places that you need to see in yourself, because you believe that they are unlovable, and you need to see them and embrace them, and to actually see that there is love there, because it is everywhere, and there is no place in the whole universe where is it not. And there is so much love even in the places where you feel that are unlovable and they cannot be seen by anybody, because you will be perceived as weak or crazy or delusional or unprofessional or God knows what. So when you are presented on a training, on a deep personal journey, when you are presented with an opportunity to look into yourself, then I would say look there. Especially if you chose that teacher, if you chose that training. And I assume that if you're an adult and you are doing that, and it's especially if it's a Lomi training, then you don't have to be there. You are there because you chose it. So you might as well take all the gifts that come with it and take a deep dive, like you beautifully wrote in your message. Or let me find that again. Do you just jump into the deep pool? In a way you do. In a way you do, with the full conviction that there are treasures there. That it's not a pool, that it's the ocean. And it has this whole underwater world that is more beautiful than you could ever imagine. And when you come out to the surface again, you are going to be inevitably a different person, because you have seen things about yourself and about the world that you had no idea existed, and that is going to change you. I hope that helps. Oh my goodness, I loved it so much. It was the first time ever in the history of Touchful podcast when I did a Q&A, and I loved it. Let me know how it was for you. If I read your question and you would like to do a follow-up and let me know how my answers resonated with you, I would be so honored. I would be so grateful to be in touch with you. If you are not the person who asked these questions, but you are listening now and you feel that something resonates with you and you want to reach out, please do. There is really very few things that I love more about this podcast than getting messages from you and connecting with your stories and reading your stories. As always, you have the email address in the description of the podcast if you want to reach out. And wow, Thank you for season 2, and I want to thank myself for being consistent, for showing up for myself, for showing up for my own personal transformation through this podcast and my own personal journey. I feel so proud of myself, and I feel so grateful for you, for each and every moment when you decided to listen to any of the episodes, taking a moment of your time to spend it with me, to spend a moment of your life with me. I'm going to take 4 weeks podcast vacation, I would say. So these 4 weeks are for me to kind of integrate this experience of season 2, which has been an incredible journey for me, and I want to take time to integrate it. This 4 weeks is also for you if you want to catch up with some of the episodes, or I know that some of you like to listen to some of the episodes a couple of times, because each and every time you hear something new, and this is also time for you. And I will be back very soon, in 1 month, with season 3 of Touchful podcast. And right now, I would love to do the practice that sometimes we do it at the end of the episodes, and I want to do it now. When I can take a breath and feel that my heart, I feel that my heart is so big right now, and it feels like it's glowing, that my heart is connecting to your heart, right now, in this very moment, because time is not linear. It is only about this present moment. And in this present moment, my open heart connects to your heart. And then we can take a breath together. Heart to heart. In this present moment. And I can feel you in this present moment, and I hope that you can feel me too. My gratitude, my joy, my growth, my my open heart. Thank you for you, and I will talk to you soon again. Aloha. Bye bye.